Hi guys, you're welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Amaka and this is Bizama Stitches. In this tutorial we are going to be learning how to make a transparent corset. Now if you've not subscribed to this channel, please click on the subscribe button and also turn on the notification bell so that you will be notified whenever I upload new videos. Registration for our corset class is ongoing. If you're interested, you can contact us with the number on the screen. So let's get started. So I've cut out my fabric and I have two of these. Now this is my corset mesh. So I have two of these, I have one here and I have two here, and these were cut on fold. Now this is the center back. Now this is the one that is going to carry the eyelet. So I used satin for this one. Now for the cup, I have two here, and I've also added seam allowance all around it. Now for this one, I added seam allowance here, and I added here, and here, This was cut on fold. Now this part is on fold, and I have two here. Now I'm going to use this wording for my customized bra cup. I used this pattern paper to cut it out, and I added seam allowance on the side, which I'm going to use to join it. Now I added seam allowance here and here, which I'm going to use to join it. But if your sewing machine has zigzag stitches, there might be no need adding seam allowance. All you need to do is just use your zigzag stitches, join it with your zigzag stitches. But if your machine doesn't have zigzag stitches, then you need to add seam allowance by the side, which you're going to use to join it together. Now let me show you the next thing to do. So this is my front panel. Now what I'm going to do is this: I'm going to take this to my sewing machine and I'm going to join this together this way. I'll sew it this way. I'll just join it together. So that's it with the front panel. Now for the back panel, this is the back panel. So this is the side and this is the center back. So I'm going to bring the satin that will complete the center back. Now this is the satin. This is where the eyelet will be. This is the fabric that will carry the eyelet. Now I'm going to join it this way and I'm going to sew it. I'll sew it right side facing right side with 1/2 inch seam allowance. Then I'm going to turn this and use this part to cover it. I'm going to fold in 1/2 inch seam allowance. Then I'm going to top stitch on it. Now when I do that, you will see that the seam allowance will be inside. You will not see the seam allowance from the wrong side and you will not see it from the right side, just to have that neat finishing. After that, I'm going to run a straight stitch on this part, which is going to carry my boning, that is creating a boning channel. So after that, I'm going to leave 3/4 inch, which is going to carry the eyelet this time. Then I'll run another straight stitch, which is going to carry the second boning. So the eyelet is going to be in between the two bones. So I'm going to do the same thing on this one. For the cup, now I have my cups here. Now I'm going to place it this way and I'll sew it right side facing right side. The same way I'm going to sew this one. I'll place it this way and I'll sew it right side facing right side. Now I have two of these. This one is going to serve as the main fabric, while the other one is going to serve as a lining. That's it with this one. Now let me show you how to couple this one. This is the front, this is the center front. I'm going to place this one right side facing right side and I will sew with 1/2 inch seam allowance. I'm going to do the same thing on this one. I'm going to do all these things I just said and show you the outcome. I've joined the front panel. After joining the front panel, this is what I have. I'm going to reduce the seam allowance. Take note, the seam allowance is facing the right side of the fabric. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to create the boning channels. I have these straps here. Now this is my satin. I'm going to fold it into two. What I have here is, this is 1/3. So I'm going to fold it into two and I'll place it this way and I'll sew. I'm going to sew it down. Now let me illustrate with pin. When I take it to my sewing machine, I'm going to run a straight stitch on it. I'm going to sew on the tip. Now after sewing on the tip, I'm going to turn it this way and I'll sew by the side. I'll sew by the side, still on the tip, so that I will have my boning casing. Now I'm going to have that hole which I'm going to insert my boning into it. The same way I'll do this, I'm going to fix the other one the same way, and I'll fix one at the middle, and I'll fix one by the side and another one by this side. So I'm going to do it and show you the outcome. For the back panel, this is the back panel. You see how the back panel is? You're not seeing the seam allowance anywhere. Now this is the wrong side, and on the wrong side you're not seeing the seam allowance. On the right side you're not seeing the seam allowance. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to run a straight stitch on this part. I'm going to leave 1/2 inch, which is going to be for my boning casing, and I'm going to sew. Then I'll leave another 3/4 inch, which is going to be for the eyelet. Then I'm going to sew again. Now another space I'm going to have there is going to be for the second boning. After sewing, I'm going to have 2 boning channels. I'm going to fix 2 bonings on this part. So I'm going to do it and show you the outcome. For this part, I'm also going to create another boning channel, just like the type I have at the front. I'm also going to create another boning channel here. So the same thing I'm doing here, I'm also going to do it on this one. I'm going to do the same thing on this other one. For the cup, now I have my cup here. I've joined the cup, and take note, I ironed the interfacing on my cup. I also ironed the interfacing on this part, on the back panel, on this part which is going to carry the eyelet. I ironed interfacing on it, so don't forget to iron interfacing on your own. Now these are my cups. Like I said, one is going to serve as the main fabric and one is going to serve as lining. So I have the main fabric and the lining here. So for this is my bra cup. This is my customized bra cup. You can see that I sewed inside, so I'm going to reduce the seam allowance. After reducing the seam allowance, I'm going to iron it. I'm going to iron this one as well. I'll iron this one, but before I do that, I'm going to notch it. I'm going to iron the seam open. I'll press it down. After ironing the cup, I'm going to fix the bra cup inside. Now let me show you how I'm going to fix the bra cup. So now the next thing I'm going to do is this. I'm going to iron this. I'm going to fix this into the fabric and I'll iron it. Now this is my wadding. Now my wadding has gum. It has gum. When I iron it, the heat from the iron is going to activate the gum on the wadding, and the wadding will stick to the fabric. Now if you look at this cup, you will see that the wadding is smaller than the fabric. Now that's because the fabric has seam allowance, but the wadding doesn't have seam allowance. And so after ironing the wadding to the fabric, I'm going to bring these two together and I will sew here with 1/2 inch seam allowance. After sewing with 1/2 inch seam allowance, I'll turn it to the right side. By then the wadding will be inside. The wadding will be inside. If you're doing this and your foam or your wadding doesn't have gum, you can still use hemming gum to gum your bra cup to your fabric, or you can use fabric gum, whichever way you want to do it. So now this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this to my sewing machine. I'm going to sew this with 1/2 inch seam allowance. After sewing with 1/2 inch seam allowance, I'll turn it to the right side. After that, now I'm going to do it and show you the next thing to do. I'm going to show you how to fix it to the front panel. After sewing, this is what I have. Now this is the front panel. You see how it is. You see how neat it is. This is the wrong side. You see that you're not seeing the seam allowance on the wrong side, and you're not also seeing the seam allowance on the right side. Now this is my cup. You see my bra cup. You see that I've joined it together. Now this is going to serve as the main fabric, while this one is going to serve as the lining. So I'm going to use this to cover this one, to cover the bra cup. Now this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this to my sewing machine and I'm going to place it this way, right side facing right side, and I'm going to sew. I'm going to sew it to this point, and I'll sew this point to this point. After sewing, I'll turn it to the right and I'll turn it. So it's going to be like this. You're going to have something like this after sewing. So I have my plastic boning here. Now I'm going to insert my boning. So now when inserting your boning, you have to leave like 1 inch or 1.5 inches allowance. You have to leave like 1 inch or 1.5 inches allowance. So I'm going to fix all the boning. So this is how I'm going to fix all the boning. But I'm going to sew the bra cup to the front panel first before fixing the boning. But let me just show you how to fix the boning. So after sewing the cup, I'm going to pipe this part. Now I'm going to place this satin this way, and I'll sew. After sewing, I'll turn it to the right side. Now I'm turning the satin to the right side. I'm sewing from the wrong side, and I'm turning it to the right side. So the same way I'm also going to finish the lower part. For the back, you see how the back panel is. Now this is the right side and this is the wrong side. You see that you're not seeing the seam allowance from anywhere. You see how neat it is. Now let me show you how to bone the back. I'm going to fix the bone on this channel. I told you that I'm going to create 2 boning channels on the back panel. So now this is one of it. I'm going to fix the second one. So that's just it. The same way I fixed this, I'm also going to fix this. I'll fix this second one the same way. My eyelets are going to be here. I'm going to fix my eyelets here. So now I'm going to sew my satin to the back panel. I'm going to place it this way. Now I'm sewing from the wrong side. I'm going to sew with 1/2 inch seam allowance. After sewing, I'll turn it to the right side and I'll top stitch. So that's how I'm going to sew this part. Now the same way I'll sew this part, I'm also going to sew this part, and this part the same way. So after that, I'm going to, now this is the front panel. Before I pipe the lower part and the upper part, I'll bring the front panel and the back panel and join it together. Now I'm going to join the sides together. So this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to place the back panel on the front panel, right side facing right side, and I will sew. Now I'm going to sew with 1.5 inches seam allowance because that's the allowance I kept. But after sewing with 1.5 inches seam allowance, I'm going to reduce the seam allowance. So I'm going to do all these things that I just said and show you the outcome. So this is my corset. Now you see that I've sewn this side. Now I've sewn the sides. You can see that the seam allowance is facing the right side of the front panel. So the same way I created these boning channels, that's how I'm going to close this. That's how I'm going to close the sides. But the only difference is that I'm not going to bone the sides. I'm not going to bone it. That's the only difference. Now for this part, I've sewn the cup to the corset. Now I'm going to pipe it. I've started piping this part already. I have these straps that I'm using to pipe it. Now this strap is like is 3/4 inch. So I've sewn this part. When I sewed this, I had a little excess which I folded in. So now this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this to my sewing machine. I've already sewn this part. I sewed it with 1/4 inch. Now I'll fold this part, I'll fold a little in, and I'll fold it again, and I'll top stitch. I'm going to sew it neatly. I'll sew it to this point. After sewing, I'm going to use underwire for this corset. So after sewing, I'm going to show you how to insert your underwire. I'm going to sew this and I'm going to sew the second one, then I'll show you how to insert your underwire. So after everything, I'm going to fix my eyelet on this part. So I'm going to do it and show you the outcome. So I'm done sewing. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to fix the underwire. Now let me show you how to fix the underwire. This is my underwire. Now when you look at this underwire, you see that one side is lower than the other side. Now this part is the center front, so this part is higher than this part. Now it's going to be like this. It's going to be like this. So I'm going to fix it from here. Now after fixing, this is what I have. You see how it is? It has cupped. It has cupped. You see that this other side is flat, while this side has cupped. So that's the difference. That's the essence of this underwire. There's a kind of shape it gives your corset. Now I'm going to fix this one here. Now my corset is ready. See how the cup is standing. You can use underwire as well. There's a fitting it gives your corset. Now if you look at the side, you will see that I've sewn the side. I piped it. You see that you're not seeing the seam allowance anywhere. That's just it with this tutorial. I'm going to fix my eyelet and I'll give this corset a thorough press and show you what it looks like. Remember that registration for our corset class is ongoing. So if you're interested, you can contact us through the phone number on the screen. So we are going to stop here for today. If you found this tutorial helpful, please click on the like button. Share this video with your friends. Share this video in your sewing groups. Subscribe to my channel if you've not done so. Feel free to ask questions. I'll be in the comment section to answer all your questions. We've come to the end of this tutorial. Thanks for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.